In this video, I'll provide an overview of our Airbnb research project. So here we are on our homepage, and you'll notice that I have a quick button to the research project instructions right here. In addition, if you go to the modules page, you'll see a dedicated module for the Airbnb project, which has all the instructions, videos, as well as the assignments themselves. So I'll go ahead and click on the research project button here. So I break out the project into smaller pieces so it's easier to manage throughout the semester. You can see that there are 6 parts to the project, with each of these tabs giving instructions for each of the pieces of the assignment. So in this video, I'm going to do a high-level overview of each of these pieces so you can get a big picture view of the project. So what we're doing in this project is that you're going to pick a city or region that you're interested in researching, and I have a list of available data sets for particular cities. Not every city in the world is available, so you'll want to take a close look at the list here and pick a city from that. In addition, you'll have to come up with a business idea that you would want to open up in that particular city. So let's go ahead and look at the cities available. And so on this page, it will show you the Airbnb data sets that are available. There's a brief description here on where the data came from. So Airbnb is an online marketplace and hospitality services company that connects hosts or people that have homes and connects them to travelers, so people that want to rent or stay at those homes. So the data actually comes from a third-party website called Inside Airbnb. Inside Airbnb downloaded the data off of the Airbnb's website because it's public. And so now we can see in our data here what the Airbnb rentals look like around the world. So if you click on this link here, it will open up a data dictionary that explains all of the variables in the Excel files. So the data dictionary acts like a code or cheat sheet with all of the different variables in our Excel file. There are 29 variables in every file, but there may be many lines or listings of Airbnb rentals in each file. So when you first open your file, which I'll show you in a separate video, you'll see these different variables up at the top of your Excel file. And so it's not always obvious based on the title what something is. So what I've provided in the second column here is a brief description on what the variable is. And then in the third column, I've provided some comments or suggestions on ways you might use these particular variables. So for instance, you might be interested in the different property types for your city. And so the description I've provided here is type of property. And in my comments, I say you could narrow or focus on a particular type of property. There are all kinds of properties in the various files, so knowing the property types can allow you to narrow down to just apartments or just houses, for instance. Another variable that's very popular for students to use has to do with price. And so the first one here, where it says price, the description states this is the nightly price of staying at a particular listing. So this is a good variable that might let you filter to specific price ranges, or you can use it to analyze your data using the different statistics we learn throughout the semester. Note that there are other versions of price. There's a weekly price and a monthly price as well. So it's really important that you go through the data dictionary and get a feel for the possible variables that you might analyze for the semester. Going back, as you scroll down, not every city in the entire world is available inside Airbnb, and I've grouped them by continent. So hopefully that helps you figure out which city or region you might be most interested in. Note that I do have the currency in parentheses next to each city because each file is written in a particular currency. So it's really important that you know which currency you're working in. If you want, you can convert the currency into US dollars, or you can just leave it in the original currency for your project. So I'll go ahead and click back. So for part 1, which is your project proposal, as I mentioned, you're going to pick your city and come up with a business idea that you would want to open up in that particular city. After reviewing the data set and the possible variables, you'll want to think about what you as an entrepreneur can do with this data. How can you use it to help open up your business? You'll want to get creative, and I can help with that if you get stuck. So in discussion boards 3 and 4, you'll actually be sharing your city and business idea and possible variables with your peers. This is a great way to get some feedback from folks, as well as getting inspiration from your peers when they share out about their cities and businesses. So for example, I want to open up a bike and wine tour in Montreal, Canada. And one variable from the data set I can analyze is the number of guests that the Airbnb rentals in that city typically accommodate. So I can decide if I want to offer group discounts, because I notice that there are a lot of group listings available in my data set. So what you're going to do after you've completed the discussion boards 3 and 4 and talked with your peers, you will click on this link here that will let you fill out and answer your project proposal. The questions in the project proposal are listed right here, but I'll go ahead and open up this link so that you can see what it looks like. So you'll notice that the Part 1 proposal is actually structured like a quiz. It's just one way for me to collect the data easily, and so I can review it and give feedback. So again, this is the same instructions that you saw over on the last page, but here are the questions that you'll want to answer. So the first question asks, which city or region from the available Airbnb datasets do you want to study and why? So in the box below here, just type in which city you want, right? So I'm going to say Montreal, Canada, and why. And it could be any reason, really. The reason why I chose Montreal is because I attended a conference here once and thought it was a great location. Right? It could be anything. It could be family related. Perhaps you have roots there. Perhaps it's a place you want to visit someday and you'd like to do a little bit of research. It could be any reason at all. And then scrolling down, the second question, it asks what is your business idea that you'll be using the data set for and why you think it's a good idea. So like I mentioned, I want to do a bike and wine tour. And then I'll go ahead and insert some reasons for why this is a good business idea. Okay. Scrolling down to question 3, this is asking about the variables of interest. So which data points are you potentially going to study? And it's okay if you change your variables throughout the semester. I just want you to brainstorm and think about which data points you could use from the Excel file. And I've listed them here for convenience. So really you're just going to say, hey, I want to analyze maybe price, perhaps the neighborhood, and the number of bedrooms. But you also want to make sure to explain why, right? So for instance, I want to understand price so I can see if the area is upscale or how I should be pricing my tours. The neighborhood, because I want to find a busy neighborhood with lots of people coming in and out. And then the last question, you have to include secondary sources to your research topic. So recall that primary sources is data you collect yourself, raw data, whereas secondary sources is information that's already out there in the world that exists and it was collected by someone else. So we're working primarily with secondary sources, and so you'll need to go out on the internet, for instance, and identify at least 3 that will help you support your business and your project. These resources can perhaps help explain the whys in question 1 or 2, or be related to your variables of interest in question 3, right? So we have to connect what we're doing in this class to what's actually happening in the cities that you choose. And then you'll just hit submit, and that's how I'll get your proposal. So this first assignment with the proposal is really just to help you organize your ideas and put it into writing, and then through these smaller components in the project, I can review and give feedback and make sure that you're off to a good start for the project. At the bottom of each part's instructions, you'll see a link that takes you to examples of that assignment. So I'll go ahead and click on this link here. It takes you to a page that has all the examples for our different parts of the project. So you can see here there's example part 1, the proposal, and I've got some examples here. So you can click on it and download and look at it. Now just remember though that these examples are good but not perfect. So you need to use your judgment when using these examples as a model, and always refer to the assignment instructions to make sure that you've met all of the requirements. Whenever you're not sure about something on any of the assignments, just email and ask me anytime. I'm going to go ahead and click back. That's an in-depth overview of what part 1, your project proposal, entails. If I click on part 2, you'll be working with descriptive statistics. So this is content we learn in chapters 2 and 3, and I'll have videos on how to work with your data, make it clean and ready to go before you have to analyze it. There'll be a video with a discussion board that supports this part of the project. But really the main idea is to take the data from your Excel file and make some graphs and charts that will help explain the data on your project and how it might help your business. Again, you'll be working on it in a discussion board before you put it into a business memo that gets submitted to me through Canvas. And again, I have a link here to some examples of other students' descriptive statistics that they've done. If we go ahead and click on part 3, this is the inferential statistics. So this focuses primarily on chapters 8, 9, and 10. And what inferential statistics does is it allows us to infer from our sample data. Note that the Excel file I'm giving to you is sample data because there's lots of Airbnb data out there, but this is just a single snapshot in time of some Airbnb information. And you're going to use that sample data to infer what's going on with the broader population, all Airbnb listings. And again, you'll learn the different statistical analyses from each chapter, and there'll be discussion boards that walk you through how to do it with examples. I'll have videos on it all, but this is your chance to take your data to make some conclusions about travelers and Airbnb listings in general. Again, it'll be in business memo format, even though you will have some discussion boards that will guide you through it first. And here's the link to the examples of past students' inferential statistics. So if we click on part 4, what this piece of the project does is it takes parts 1, 2, and 3 and combines them into a presentation. So you'll put everything into a PowerPoint and then record your voiceover or narration that explains your presentation and all of the content in it. And again, I'll provide a video on how to do it with detailed instructions, but I provide templates, examples, the rubric, so you've got all kinds of instructions to help you with the presentation. Let's go ahead and click on part 5. What's going to happen here is you'll get put into small discussion groups of about 3 to 4 students, and you'll post your presentations into the discussion board so that you can watch each other's presentations. And then you'll give each other feedback on what went well, what could be improved, and just general questions or curiosities you have about their project. And then the last piece of the project is a reflection. So you'll write a 1 to 2 page single space self-reflection that mentions anything you would change about your project. So rather than make you redo your project, I just ask you to reflect on what would you fix. I also ask you to explain how you've met the student learning outcome for our course. And how you would apply all of your learning from the project in a future business or academic setting. Again, I've got a rubric and the link to different examples of students' past reflections. And so throughout the project, I try to give you as much information as possible in writing, in videos, in examples. And anytime you have any questions, just email me or come meet me in office hours, and I'm happy to help. So if you have any questions, just let me know.